Hi, this is Lada from astrolada.com, and this is your Solar Eclipse February 2015 predictions for the 12 signs with me. And what an interesting solar eclipse falling within a day, 14th of February. So this February might have a lot of fated relationships being created or being dissolved, because as you probably know and you've heard, eclipses are all about fated events, contracts that we have pre-birth, because eclipses are caused by the south and north node of the moon, also known as Ketu and Rahu, which from ancient time is known to be the reason that we incarnate. Those two astronomical points show the biggest challenges and the biggest lessons that we have to learn, the past life influences and what we have to learn in this future life, in this current life. So when they align with the moon and the sun, this is when eclipses happen. And this is when, and the moon and the sun, the most important two lights in the sky, you know, one also rules the past, the moon and our soul, and the other one, the sun, rules the future and our goals and our spirit as well. And when they align with the karmic nodes, very important karmic events happen. And we're going to speak in depth about this eclipse, who's going to feel it the most. I hope you watch the whole video, not just jump to your sign, because you might have certain planets. You might have the planet of love, for example, falling next to the eclipse, and this can be a pivotal year for your love. So I will show you how to check this out. Okay, so let's start. And by the way, just quick announcement. On the 18th of February, Marina, in combination with Astrolada website, is making a webinar on the different aspects in astrology. The 32 different aspects. She will pay attention a lot more on the minor aspects that no one talks about, which are very karmic or which are very creative, and how to utilize them, because not everyone has major aspects. So it's going to be very interesting. It's Russian astrology. It's something that is not on the internet, and not unless you know Russian. So yeah, come and join us. It's only $30 actually. Okay, so let's start about this eclipse. There are different types of eclipses. So remember, fated events happen. For example, during season, eclipse season, a month before, a month after, or around the eclipse season. Often people meet their chosen spouse, their fated spouses. They get pregnant. Someone can die. Someone can be born. Someone you can divorce. The fated events, the big events in life, happen around eclipses, and the solar eclipse usually actually can take up to 6 months after that to manifest. So this is not just prediction for the 15th of February. It's going to affect you for 6 months. But saying that, not all solar eclipses are so intense. This one is a bit weaker because it's only going to be visible from Antarctica. So I guess the penguins will feel it the most, and the bears, polar bears, I guess there might be lots of melting of ice or something or happening. But anyway, some Chile will see it a little bit, the South America. But still, there is the eclipse. And even if we don't see it, scientists have measured and have seen that even when there is an eclipse and it's not visible, during the eclipse, the electromagnetic field of the earth changes. And we're electromagnetic beings as well. So our electromagnetic field changes. So big psychological, emotional, and outer and inner changes can happen, can be programmed at us at this moment. And actually they measured, according to article that I said that read, I don't know how correct it is, but it was kind of scientific articles, that when there is an eclipse, solar or lunar, the positive ions in the air increase. And positive ions are actually not so good for us. The negative ions are the ones that, you know, stabilize us and are good for the body. The positive ones are the ones that kind of overly excite us, create a feeling of foreboding and tension. And, you know, kind of there is like a moving of layers within us. And because we kind of on the soul level sense something is going to change, there is this emotional tension that people feel around eclipses. Might be a few, you can start even 10 days before an eclipse, and can feel it up to 40 days very strongly after an eclipse, that they feel emotionally unsettled, because also the electromagnetic field around them is changed. And that's not without reason, because eclipses want to bring those fated changes. So everything changes, not just you know, our body as well is changing at that period. But not everyone feels it to such a strong extent. You have to have some specific planets close to the degree of the eclipse. And as I said, this eclipse, it's a solar eclipse, which means new beginnings, because solar eclipse is caused by the sun and the moon together. They join together, mother, father joining to create new life. But they're also, it's caused by the south node, Ketu. It's the south node is depicted like that in astrology with the symbol. I like to call it Ketu. It's easier to understand. And it's this one in particular, it's about letting go of something, because Ketu, there are two types of solar eclipses, one with the south node or one with the north node. This one in particular is with the south node. South node is past lifetimes, something from the past, something that we have to release. Actually, the south node in mythology is depicted as a dragon, the south and north node. As a dragon, I don't know if I'm writing it well. There you go. Here is a dragon with teeth and stuff, and which is cut in two. It's an ancient mythologist myth, because the ancients were very, they'll describe everything like a fairy tale. They'll describe physical and scientific principles that they felt. Just like the science is proving now that there's electromagnetic changes happening around lunar and solar eclipses, which changes our mind. That's why people can lose their minds around solar and lunar eclipses with this, because the electromagnetic charge of the earth changes, but so they depicted the south node as the tail of the dragon, while the north node was the head of the dragon. But we're going to just focus on the south node, because this eclipse is caused by the south node. And what is a tail? That's where poop comes out. That's where you excrete and eliminate. So it's kind of very, solar eclipses that are caused by the south node are harbingers of something ending, or the need for you to release something, to let go of something, to, what is the word called? To surrender something. Something that its time is past, it's time to leave it in the past. And actually, the past can come back somehow, because Ketu rules the past lifetimes. And often people or events in our life that we have past life connections with reappear in our life, or they are, or we release people from our life. So it's very interesting. But this release, so this eclipse requires you to release something, and you're going to feel it very intensely for 40 days. The month of the eclipse, the whole February, 40 days after that, and you'll see the results actually within 6 to 9 months after that, just like the gestation period of a baby. But the initial stage, which is around February and March, you might go through some little crisis or some, and because, as I said, this eclipse is a little bit weaker because it's partial. It's not very, they're not very close together. You don't see the full sun go dark. It's not as strong, but still it's going to be felt. Where you become extremely sensitive, because the south node sensitizes us. We become very sensitive to something, almost, and because it's a tail, we become quite irrational. It doesn't have a mind to think. We kind of almost like body instinct feeling we have, sensitized body instinct feeling. And we'll be asked through maybe some mini crisis to release something of our life, to surrender something. But the good news is that within the next 6 to 9 months, you'll see a new beginning forming, because it's the moon and the sun eclipse, which is about giving birth to something new when they join together. So this is the key word for this eclipse, guys. And it's happening in Aquarius, by the way, which I'll say. The key word for people that will be affected the most is surrender something. Something will be taken from you. Something will be released from you, just to make space for something more spectacular, new beginning to come, which you'll see, and you start the seeds of new beginning to be made. But it requires some sacrifice. It requires of you to let go of something, and it will bring up this new beginning, whatever it's happening in your horoscope. And we're going to talk some side by sign. And if you don't feel it, it's a bit weaker, as I said. But there is another thing. It's happening at the 27th degree in Aquarius, which is exactly opposite the 27th, 28th degree of Leo, which the full solar eclipse happened in August, which was seen from the States, from a big part of the world. So 27 Aquarius, according to tropical zodiac. And it was it's triggering, or it's like the mirror eclipse of the one that happened in the summer. So there is a strong possibility that it's going to activate the solar eclipse. And remember, I told you solar eclipse can influence you for 6 to 9 months after that. And we still have not seen the full results of the solar eclipse that happened in the summer, the full solar eclipse. That was an intense, full-on one. People from many places in the world saw it. And every time it's triggered by alignment of planets around that degree, because the other eclipse happened at Leo 27 degrees, which is the opposite sign. And now there'll be alignment of moon, of sun, and Mercury there as well. So three planets heavy, exactly opposite the degree. Plus, of course, the South Node. But it's, you know, it's a point. So 3 planets are aligning opposite the degree of the eclipse from August 21st, 2017. I expect to see to see activation of things, of people actually that witness the solar eclipse. So from the States. Otherwise, this eclipse is not visible from the world. In Antarctica is visible because it activates this degree. I believe it will be a lot of like kind of a trigger and reverberation of this previous eclipse, which was much more potent. So if you happen to have something around the 27th degree of Leo or Aquarius, you will feel that eclipse. And how you feel it is like you need to release something, to surrender something, to make place for something new. It might be traumatic sometimes. Sometimes we might need to release part of our health, part of our attachments, part of something that we've always been afraid to release, but it's making space for us. And the good news about South Node is that when the South Node causes eclipse, you can be freed from bad habits. So you can be freed because the South Node, another name of Ketu, is moksha, liberation. In ancient astrology, in Vedic, liberation. So we can look at it rather than some loss, like we tend to look in the Western world, of anything that we lose, material or that we have attachment of, it's a loss. Don't look at it like that. The South Node is liberation from something that was binding you, for something that was binding you to karma. And what is karma? Binding you to suffering. You might have thought, oh, I love that and I want it in my life. I want this man that abuses me. I want this, I love smoking this cigarette to my friends, or I love, like, this job is giving me money. I hate it, but you know, I need it in my life. I can't live without it. It's something that you're bound by karma with. And when the South Node triggers you, depending what area in your life, it will remove this thing from your life. And you might feel fearful about that, but you will definitely, it wants to liberate you. And it can remove certain freedoms from your life as well, but to introduce new freedoms, because it's happening in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is rules, priorities, goals and dreams, our freedoms, our dreams for the future. So something will have to release certain attachment from past life goals and dreams from the future, generally speaking, and goals, and even friendships, and new. And these will make space for new ones that will witness over the next 6-7 months, 6-9 months. Okay, so who will feel it most? If you have, say, if you're born around the 15th, 16th, 17th of February, my God, the next 1 year is everything that I talked about. You're gonna witness that new beginning in your life preceded by a big sacrifice, or letting go of something, or liberation from something. If you're born in August around the 27th, degree of Leo, which means you'd be born again at 19th, 18th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, of August. Your sun will be in those degrees. If your ascendant is from around the 24th degree in Leo, Aquarius, and even Taurus and Scorpio, because it makes a square, the eclipse, to those degrees. So you can also have powerful activation. So, but the most important are Leo, Aquarius, and to a smaller degree, I'll make them with smaller signs, Taurus and Scorpio, from 24 degrees till 30 degrees, the last 6 degrees. Even the first degrees of the mutable signs, like 0 and 1 degrees, can feel that. They can have life-changing transformation. And you can have the ascendant there, for example, or the sun or the moon. You will feel it. The year after that, the next 9 months totally change your life. So if you happen to have ascendant around those degrees, go out to my birth chart calculator, guys. I can, here it is. It's called astrology.com. If you don't know how to see it, let me share my chart with you. Share. Oops. Astrology.com and go to the birth chart calculator. Here it is. Enter your name, whatever it is. Let's say random number here. You know, you enter your year, New York. The place. I don't have time now to put, you know, my birth details or something. And then you choose which New York it is. Let's say New York Mills, MN, whatever. And you get this chart. And you can go to the planetary detail table you see here below and check if you have any planets in those degrees that I mentioned. We have here Leo, but it's at 5 degrees. It's not going to be felt so much. We have Taurus, it's at 11 degrees. We have Aquarius, Jupiter at 23 degrees. Well, that Jupiter can feel it more at Aquarius. Even it's, you know, it starts at 24. It's not so far away, 23 degrees, you know. So the Jupiter will be affected very strongly. You might have, but the ones that you will feel it the most if you have ascendant, sun, or moon around in Leo, Aquarius, Taurus, or Scorpio from around 23, 24 to 30 degrees in those 4 signs. This can be, you know, you definitely letting go of something and making space for powerful new beginning in your life, some fated events, marriages, divorces, you know, meeting the life partner, starting business, ending careers, like big life events that change your life forever. Just let me go back. Sorry. Oops. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Stop presenting. Okay. So yes, if you have any planets there, but especially sun, moon, or ascendant, these are so important, and they also rule your physical health. You have to make sure you take care of your physical health. For example, my moon is at 24 degrees Leo. It's very close there. And one thing, there will be a powerful new beginning in my family because the moon rules family, motherhood, definitely, but I have to sacrifice something. And I have to sacrifice a lot of my own egoistical, you know, needs, because the moon is also one's needs and one's old habits and way of living. And the eclipse is happening opposite my moon in Leo. So I'm giving you an example, real life example, how within a month after the eclipse, I'm supposed to give birth. And actually the previous eclipse, a month before the previous eclipse is when I got pregnant, and it was on my moon. So you see how eclipses on your moon can make big life changes like motherhood. Sometimes a mother can, big changes in the life of the mother can happen, or in your family or place of living, or in your emotional connections with people, in your personal needs and your personal life overall. So you see how one eclipse brought the pregnancy, the other one will bring the birth of the baby, but it will feel like I have to do some big sacrifice, you know, for my own needs and to embrace this new beginning. So you see, fated events happen around those, you know, if it's your sun, moon, or ascendant, but you have to take care of your health. If your sun, moon, or ascendant are close to those degrees in those 4 signs, Leo, Aquarius in particular, to a lesser degree Taurus or Scorpio. Why is that? Because these 3 points, sun, moon, or ascendant, rule the physical body. Or also your ascendant ruler, say your Taurus ascendant, Venus, if the eclipse, if Venus falls in one of those 4 signs, those degrees, you have to watch your health there if you're Taurus or Libra ascendant. Or if you're Scorpio or Aries ascendant, which is the physical body. If your Mars falls on those 4 signs around those degrees, watch out the health again. Or if you're Gemini or Virgo, if your Mercury falls at 24 to 30 degrees in one of the 4 signs, watch out your health, because eclipse, as I said, charges the body with positive anions. Even it starts before that, and the health of a person is weakened. And in worst case scenario, it can indicate something very serious. But I said this eclipse is weaker, but still watch it. Like, I've been quite sick a lot, which is not something I'm used to. Also, if it's your moon, it might be something with the mother that's happening, like a big fated event in her life. If it's your sun in those degrees, something with your career, something with your goals in life, something with important men in your life, husband, boss. Like, a big changes might be preceded by crisis that requires you to make some sacrifice, for example, for your goals or for your career. Some of you might, for example, lose a job or something, or have to make some sacrifice in their career if their sun falls in those degrees, those signs, and which will be followed by a powerful new beginning and powerful new opportunities. But first, you need to kind of clear up this ground in the coming period. And also, the father is the sun, so you can warn your father to be okay. You can check up on your father to make sure he's okay, and also your vitality and health as well. If it's your ascendant, your overall life, again, your health, your overall direction in life can change in a powerful way. And it might be even in some way connected with you making a big sacrifice. So if you're Aquarius ascendant, for example, if it's on your Venus, big letting go and detachment that happens in regards to your love life. I remember there was an eclipse on my Venus, and it was a South Node eclipse. And that was the year actually I got married, fated events within a few months, but I had to let go of certain karmic attachments to someone else before that. So it's very interesting how first you need to sacrifice something. And it's good because it made it easy, because South Node is about releasing something, liberation. So you can be liberated from some obsessive feelings. If, say, your Venus is around those degrees, in those 4 signs, you can be liberated, especially in Aquarius and Leo as well. But you can be liberated, but Aquarius is the strongest, of course. You can be liberated from some attachments in relationships. You can be liberated from a marriage or a relationship that's not happy, and it will make a space for new one to appear in your life, for example. And you can even be a year that indicates marriage and something important in your personal or business relationship. But first, it's required for you to give up something. And you often don't even consciously give it up. It happens somehow on an internal level without being asked for you to make the effort. If it's your, so each planet is responsible for something else. But that's like, I need to give you a specific personal reading for your horoscope to see what this planet rules in your horoscope. But the 3 most important is ascendant, sun, and moon, and we said what they mean. Okay, so now let's see how this eclipse can affect different signs. Okay, unless you have, as I said, those specific degrees, your life will turn around in a big way. If you don't have them, though, you can notice that you need to do some sacrifice and a new beginning in other areas of your life, depending on how the new moon partial solar eclipse triggers. And let's start with Aquarius, because it is the sign where it's happening, and we'll go from Aquarius, Pisces, like that. So imagine this is Aquarius, the first house, the eclipse is happening for you here, guys. Sun, moon, South Node together, and Mercury. Yay! I have Aquarius ascendant. It's a 2 degrees, so it's a bit quite far away, but still it's in the first house. So anyone who has Aquarius ascendant, to a lesser degree Aquarius sun or moon, but again, it's you can look at the horoscope as the first house from ascendant, sun, and moon. If you're a woman, the moon has more importance after the ascendant. If you're a man, the sun has more importance after the ascendant. So if you're Aquarius, sun, moon, or ascendant, let's say ascendant, sun, or moon, because the ascendant is the most important always, it's your physical destiny. The eclipse is happening in your first house. You will be required over the next month or so to do, and maybe it started already, to make some sacrifice on a very personal level, because it's happening in your sign after all, you know, the South Node also is connected to giving up something. So it might be like giving up some, you know, habits and attachments and self-identification, something that you think it's really you, it's part of who you are, but you might be asked to make a sacrifice for it. But the good news is that the South Node eclipse helps you to release it easier. Maybe some bad physical habits that you have, or if it's the Sun, as I said, in Aquarius, maybe something to do with your goals and career, or important male figures in your life as well. Or some self-identification that you have about who you are, or some outdated already kind of beliefs of who you are. You're shedding some old image, so to speak, to basically to get dressed in a new self-identity over the next 9 months. It's so happening for me as well, you know, with the new baby and everything. A new self-identity is coming, but first you make sacrifice of certain of your needs. You let go of certain things from the past. All on all levels of your life it can happen, because when it's in the first house, it encompasses all levels of your life. Because so for you Aquarius, it's like this one, it can be one of those really life-shifting periods. And new beginnings, you'll notice the seeds over, you know, the next few weeks of new beginnings that are starting to come. But they might be accompanying these seeds for powerful new beginning, life-transforming beginnings. Can be accompanied by a feeling like a loss of something, by a feeling of liberation as well, you know, the South Node, of liberation from the past, of some old karmas ending. That's what South Node is, some old being bonded emotionally or physically or materially, you know, psychologically to the past in some way through some new developments in your life. Or maybe first you're released, or first you make the sacrifice, and then those new beginnings come. Okay, if you are Capricorn, no, a Pisces, if Pisces is your first house here, then the eclipse is happening in Aquarius here. Eclipse. In your 12th house, it's very much 12th house is a karmic past life house. And the South Node is past lifetime. So we have like a double whammy here, past lifetimes, something from the past that comes back and you're able to release it, to let go of it. And it kind of makes space for, what does it make space? It makes space for cleaner karma overall, you know. Powerful new beginnings can follow for you in the next 7-8 months in abroad or foreign countries, for example. Faraway countries is the 12th house. So you might have to conclude something of your previous life almost, to let go of something. And 12th house also rules our, so you can start anew in a faraway place. Or 12th house is also the self-undoing habits that we have. It might be addictions, it might be a kind of addiction to negative self-talk, self-sabotaging thoughts of any sort, which we have because of past lifetimes, because of powerful entrenched patterns that date back, and we've even forgotten where they date back to. And because of certain events that happened in the past that we are buried in the subconscious in the 12th house, we're doing some self-sabotaging things. And the South Node eclipse can allow us to release this kind of, such kind of a condition of some sort. And there might be a powerful release of past life memories of some sort, which the 12th house rules, and attachments to powerful release of attachments. So I would advise you during this eclipse, if you can do a little prayer, because new moon eclipses are about when they're happening. Yes, solar eclipses, when they're happening, a person should go and pray within rather than go watch it. Ancients said go within and pray. And because it's happening in your 12th house, pray for something from your past to be released that is harmful habit, that is self-undoing habit, that is connected to fears, and that ungrounded fears almost, and something that is binding you, because 12th house is the house of prison, you know, and the house of, it might be a mental prison, it might be a psychological prison of some sort. So you have a great opportunity to release some kind of a imprisonment, inner psychological, even material outer imprisonment. You might be stuck in a situation feeling imprisoned, that you're kind of almost suspended in air. And you can pray on those eclipses to be released, and it's going to happen easier, and it will make more space for you for basically for new beginnings connected to that 12th house, which is for spiritual growth. So something you can release, something you let go of, which is more detrimental to you. You can receive more detachment and impartiality in regards to it, which is binding you to something that's binding you to the past, and which will allow for you after that to have spiritual growth, to actually to move to the next level spiritually almost, and to feel like an emptier, lighter soul, because the 12th house rules the soul. And it might be also 12th house rules karmic debt that we have. So the release of certain karmic debt can be happening now. Karmic, and even addictions and things like that, they are karmic debt that we carry. And there might be the ending of it. So visualize, pray for those things. There might be the ending of one kind of psychic entanglement, 12th house of some sort, to make space for more freedom there. Anyway, you might be more susceptible to powerful intuitive insights, powerful dreams during this, period. Powerful, almost like a sense of you might be required to surrender to a higher power. Because 12th house is a house of surrender, of higher power of some sort, and you might have powerful intuitions, and the 12th house is sleeping. And on some levels of 12th houses, expenses and losses. Be careful. There might be certain more expenses that happen that you need to, and charity, giving away to people. You might be required to sacrifice something, to give something away to others. So it makes space in your life for more things after that, and more spiritual rewards, and more clarity of the soul and lightness of the soul, rather than to get more material things. Then if you are Aries ascendant, sun or moon, the eclipse is happening here in your 11th house. You might be requested to let go of certain friendship, to let go of social life. I'm Aries, sun, Venus, Mercury, Mars, so definitely I feel my solar prediction as well. Letting go of social life. What social life? There's a sacrifice there. I've let it go from the previous eclipse last year already in the 11th house in Aquarius. But definitely you might be required to sacrifice. Maybe a friend might leave, or even might be a poisonous social situation, or some kind of a public situation that you're involved in. It doesn't necessarily need to be poisonous, but maybe you need to retreat a little bit. Maybe you need to let go of something, trying to control that situation with friends, with social situation, with social public visibility. This is the house of fans and following. That matters for me. But for most normal people, this is their social life and their social media and Facebook, and the face they present to others, and the response they receive from others, and the acknowledgement they receive from others. So there might be the letting go of certain social situations. Some of you might close a Facebook or something like that, Some of you might just close a few social accounts. Some of you might just retreat and stop answering for a little bit. You do some sacrifice there. And then it makes space for new contacts, for new networks of people. So you are releasing some kind of old, outdated contacts, networks. They can be business and personal, and allowing for new ones to form over the next 9 months. Also, the 11th house is your goals, your social, your profit goals, commercial, socio-economic goals. It is not just house of hopes and dreams, and it's not a mystical house. It's a very material house. In ancient astrology, the 11th house is gains. So you might have to sacrifice certain gains now, or certain goals that you've had. You might realize that you need to surrender certain long-term goals that are not productive, or that you've exhausted the enthusiasm for them. So some profits or some socioeconomic goals that you let go of, that you're required to let go of, or that you did consciously. So you make space for new such ideas, socioeconomic goals and ideas to build up in the future. Okay, if you're Taurus ascendant, always most important, sun for men, moon for women as well. It's happening in your 10th house, and remember, if you have Taurus planets in those degrees, 20, 40, 30, this is very important eclipse for you. It can be kind of, it's triggers you 50%, let's say. But we spoke about at the beginning of the video. The eclipse is happening here in your 10th house of career. Ooh, you know, there is a saying, when there is an eclipse in your 10th house, you can become like a king. And there was an eclipse in my 10th house, but it was a Rahu eclipse. I don't remember South Node eclipse yet. And this is when my career really expanded. But it's a new moon eclipse, new beginnings, but preceded by you having to sacrifice for some ideal. You know, South Node doesn't necessarily mean like losing something always. It means if you want to go to the next stage of your career, you need to do it from higher or for a goal that serves more people. The South Node is very spiritual. So a new beginning will be facilitated for you in your career, a new stage in your career, in your reputation, in your social status. Especially if you have goals in regards to your career or plans that are more universal, that are going to contribute more generally rather than grasping, rather than what can I get out of my career, how can I make more money, how can I become more famous myself, you know, or how can I have more power myself and more control through my career. No, but if you're thinking I want to expand my career, or I want to take my career on the next level, to transform it in some way so it reaches, so it serves more, so it's from a higher kind of more spiritual perspective. And it can be spiritual perspective in any, you know, even if you're selling computers or whatever. You can just want to serve a higher ideal. This is the South Node. The North Node is very material and more selfish in its requests and its graspings, because it's the mouth which is insatiable, the mouth of the dragon. So if you have some kind of a more, you know, high-minded goals for your career, this can be a pivotal time for you. Also, it can indicate the ending of one career or one's career goals, or the ending of certain phase of your social reputation or stage, not necessarily the whole career, but a certain project in your career, completion, ending, surrendering, letting go, or just finishing, or releasing some attachment that's binding you to a career or to a social situation, which is binding to you, and allowing a new beginning. Actually, the 10th house is very much connected to marriages, because the marriage defines our social status. For some of you who are, it might be like the dissolution of a marriage or a situation that is binding you to certain social status that has come to an end, and it can create some crisis there to release you and to introduce new the opportunity for new social status in your life, for new goals and purposes, for new kind of high achievements, is the 10th house, you know. Okay, and the 10th house is the parents, so one of the parents, pay attention to them. There might be some big changes happening in their life as well. If you're Gemini, it's happening in your 9th house. That's not, you know, actually that's not bad. It's kind of, there might be some pivotal, the need to let go of certain attachment to belief systems, old belief systems that are dying in you, how you perceive the world, how you perceive what is important in the world, or what is, the 9th house is everything that we believe. And you know, our belief systems define our reality eventually. So you might even have some kind of a little bit of a crisis, spiritual crisis of some sort, because something that you've always believed, or some figure that you always inspired, that inspired you, these are our inspirational figures, our mentors, gurus, teachers, some belief system like astrology, you might feel disappointed with it, or a certain aspect of astrology, a certain aspect of your religion, or certain aspect of if you believed in the law of attraction, that you get disenchanted with and you have to release it, but it's outgrown its usefulness and constructiveness in your life. All belief systems are correct for us at certain periods in our life when they serve us, and at certain period we can go to a next level and they're higher and better belief systems and understanding. So you can have to release something, then so you make space for a newer, fuller more the one that gives you more freedom belief system, that gives you more detachment as well, which is not holding you hostage, you know. Okay, and it's also the ninth house can rule foreign travel, and anything to do with higher education. You might have to release one or to sacrifice something to do with you know, with your plans for the future, which is the ninth house as well. And so it makes space for the next few months to pre-qualify or to start studying some new degree or some new higher education of some sort. Or there might be something that happens with your goals that you have to sacrifice, because ninth house is one of the houses of goals as well. And your ideals as well, how the future is going to look. But it can bring actually over the next 6-9 months an opportunity for you to move, to live to a foreign place or to explore new horizons. The ninth house is new horizons, new intellectual and belief horizons, especially also physical horizons. To actually, you might have to give up something now, which will allow you after that to travel, to expand, to see a higher perspective of some sort. Some of you can play out like give up one major for another major, you know, give up one teacher for another teacher or something like that. Okay, if it's in your, if you are Cancer, it's in your 8th house, this eclipse. And as I said, this eclipse is weaker, so don't think it's going to ruin your life, you know, but still you can feel that. Well, you might have to let go of certain reliance on other people's resources, whether it was from, might have been from a spouse, or maybe your spouse, like, you know, you lose something that came to you from another person, or maybe you have to let go of certain expecting to receive money from someone as a, you know, someone owes you money or something like that, and you're like, okay, whatever, I give it up, I sacrifice it, I surrender it. But don't worry, if you do that, then over the next 6 months, you will get support and you get money from someone else from another direction. So if it's been eating you, someone owes you money 7 years ago. I've had such a situation. Someone owed me 600 pounds. It wasn't much, but for me at that time, I didn't have money and I couldn't pay my rent, and I kept writing to them and emailing them every day, please send me the money back, please send me. And I've forgiven people thousands of dollars that I've given in pounds over the years. But this one, it's holding me there because I was in such need. And an eclipse in the 8th house can help you, especially South Node eclipse, release such kind of a grudge. Like give it to the, you might be even asked to give to someone money or something, another, like to help your spouse, to help your ex, to help your someone else that asks for help from you of some sort. Give it, but don't worry, this money will come to you over the next 7, 8 months, 9 months. And you might see the beginning already from now, from new beginnings for you to receive support, whether financial, even emotional, moral support from other new sources. And 8th house is the house of very obsessive bondings, very obsessive. We want to control someone, someone wants to control us. Is the house of big fear. So we have a fear. If I lose this person, I can never live again. How am I going to live? I know I'll survive, but I think I'll always be unhappy. Or if I lose this, you have something that you obsess about and that you can't imagine your life of it. And if you can't imagine, if this thing is taken from you, you feel like it will be the end of the world. The 8th house is the house of death. So you feel like I might as well be dead without this thing. Well, an eclipse there with the South Node allows you to release such kind of an obsessive attachment psychologically and such kind of irrational fear almost. And actually, it will make you confront that fear. It can indicate that now you're going to lose something that it's exactly the thing that you fear that you can live without the most, but actually it's going to liberate you from a big obsessive compulsive attachment here, and will make space for you to receive support and to receive, because 8th house is things we receive from others and external things in our life that we think we're so dependent on, but some release from some attachment from the past, and something that, you know, has been holding us almost like a hostage psychologically. And yes, it can create this little crisis, but at the same time, you will feel empowered after that, because new you'd clear up a lot of, let's say, 8th house is like karmic dross and trauma. You can clear up a lot of karmic, just like the 12th house and 8th house, they have similarities here. It's from past lifetimes and fears and stuff as well. The 8th and 12th house have a lot of similarities. You can release certain things that make you, 12th house especially, making you feel shameful, whatever 8th house is as well. Very intense negative feelings that can have a powerful release of such past feelings for you to make space. And also beliefs about how much you're worthy to receive from the universe. It might be like a hit on your self-esteem of some sort that makes you think, actually, I need to release this old belief that I'm just worth that little. And because of that, the universe over the next 7, 8, 9 months after that, but starting already from now, can show you that because you've detached from your beliefs and understanding of what you can receive from others or from the universe, generally the 8th house, because you've detached and let go of such old beliefs, it will allow you now something new to come for you to receive from outside, because we don't always have to, we feel like we're not deserving enough or whatever sometimes, or that we really have to work hard for something. But actually, the 8th house is the house from where it's like an aperture from where the universe gives us if we feel we deserve, so to speak. And if we're not blocked with traumas and fears and holding on to something old that we think it's giving us so much, but it's outdated for us. Okay, but on the material level, it's, money and resources and stuff like that are connected to other people of some sort, or working with their talents or skills or something. You might have to let go of something like that, or some, say, resources that come from partner, not be fearful to release them. And after that, from a new source of support will come to us in the coming months. If you are Leo, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, it's happening in your 7th house. Well, what can I say? We spoke a lot about Leo at the beginning. They can be impacted in many other ways. The first part of the video is about that. Go back to watch it to see specifically which degrees. But if your rising is Leo, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, there might be a big shift happening in the life of your partner, business or personal partner. You might have to let go of certain aspect of a relationship. It doesn't have to be the whole relationship, always, because it's partial eclipse. So I'm thinking partial giving up on certain aspect of relationship and how you're doing business partnership, or on certain contractual side and agreements between you and another partner, or a client of some sort. So you can generate new and better ones, more impartial. If you felt like you've been held hostage to feelings for another or to some relationship, now can be a liberation time. You can be released from such a relationship. It can be a big shift in your relationship status, like someone finally being able to release someone from you. Just like if there is the eclipse falls on your Venus, it will be very similar. Releasing your attachment and even starting to feel apathy towards a partner, or some kind of a powerful detachment. And it might be good because you might have been obsessing about someone for years. And now this eclipse in your 7th house may allow you to, even if you haven't seen this person for years, might allow you to let them go and release them psychologically. And you make space psychologically for a new beginning happening in your relationships there. There might be some toxic feelings that you're feeling towards your partner, and you might be able to release those, or some kind of toxic, or let's say, obligation that you have towards someone that is, and not necessarily toxic. Maybe it was necessary till now. Maybe you had some karmic promise obligation towards someone else that you are fulfilling till now, but now it's time to release it. Now it's something shifts there. So you're released from this obligation and a new opportunity, and you make space for new developments in that relationship, or a new relationship to happen. It might be the indication that in the next year, there might be, when the eclipses are happening in the 1st and 7th houses, yes, there might be the need for some sacrifice and release from the past of love or relationship or contract or business agreement or clients as well. 7th house is clients, one-to-one clients. but it also indicates that new ones are coming because it's a new moon. New ones, new perspective, new, more liberating circumstances around those things. So even if there is some crisis there, don't worry. So also, obviously, your partner might need to do some sacrifices because the seventh house is your partner, and more, South Node is about doing something more. They might feel quite sensitive themselves when there is an eclipse in the seventh house. Partners become very sensitive, can become a bit irrational, fearful, can be big changes in their own life and new powerful beginnings in the life of your partner that you witness in some way. Or new beginnings can come to you through others, through business partnerships, through personal relationships of some sort. But again, you have to give up of something of, you have to give up of how you, something that you want things, how you want things to be in that relationship, or how you envision that things should be in your interpersonal or business relationship. You have to give it up so you can open up to these new opportunities that come to you through others. So you might have to give some business deal so a new one comes to you, or you might have to give up on some business partnerships or partnerships of any sort, so it opens place for new ones that so old karmic ones are going. And you might hear from old karmic ones, they come to be released, or to be partially released in some way, and to be partially reworked, and some aspect of them to be sacrificed, so they come in a newer form after that. Okay, but often when the eclipse in the 1st and the 7th, this can be years when, when someone meets the love of your life, when someone gets married, when someone, when their eclipse is my 1st and 7th. Last time was 9 years ago. I met my previous husband, and now they started from last year in my 1st and 7th. I'm Aquarius ascendant, or if you're Leo ascendant as well. I got married again. And look at the Leo King eclipsing his sun in his 1st house, and 7th houses. He got married as well. I can give you a lot of examples of people with Leo or Aquarius ascendant that meet fated partners and have fated relationship developments around the eclipse, and in the years when there are eclipses in Aquarius, or in the 1st or the 7th house. Anyway, if you're Virgo, the eclipse is happening in your 6th house. Virgo sun, Virgo ascendant in particular moon. Well, there is an eclipse in your health house. Watch out your health a little bit more. But there is an eclipse of you letting go of some old habits. 6th house is our daily routines and habits. And some, maybe the conditions of your work, you have to give up certain old conditions in your work environment as well, in our everyday environment. Maybe you have to let go of you used to do your work in some way. For example, you used to like and now all of a sudden there is some changes happening there, and you have to, you might be even released from work or employment, or you might feel detachment, and like it's the end of certain work cycle, or that you're completing and ending, and you're having to wrap up and to release some old project you're working on, or some health habit, or some health routine, or unhealth routine, more likely, have to release eating dairy, for example. And you make this sacrifice, which is the South Node eclipse requires, and it allows for a renewed sense of health to come for you, or you release one old habit, whether it's smoking or whatever, and it allows you over the next 6 months to introduce new habits that will that will fill your life in a more meaningful way, or daily activities. So you let go of certain way of making things, because 6th house is the technique we use, in a sense, in our everyday, like efficiency. And say at your work, they say, well, you cannot, no longer, we're going to use that software. And you're like, oh, but I don't know how to do another one. And they'll say, well, sorry, you have to learn a totally new software that's much more complex. And you have to release one way of working in your daily environment and incorporate a new one, basically, or let go of one job or aspect of a job to incorporate new one. Okay, if you are Libra, it's happening in your 5th house. It's a trinal aspect, so I don't think it will be so negative. But in your fifth house, there might be the need to, my husband is Libra ascendant. Let's see what is he letting go of. Romance. Forget romantic experiences. Let go of certain area of what you expect of your romantic life. If his idea was that, you know, oh, now the baby will be born, we'll get romantic again, forget it. Or if his idea is like, oh, this is what the baby's gonna be, this is how we're gonna, fifth house rules romance and children. So I'm gonna give it from his perspective, and maybe you can relate it to your life if you're Libra rising, Sun and Moon. For him, it's gonna play out very likely like, I have these ideas how children should be raised, and I have these preconceived attachments, what to do, and now the eclipse comes. You have to let go of some old beliefs. It can break up your illusions and release you from certain illusions of how relationship with children should be in any way, or how you can control children in any way. So you have to surrender those. He will have to surrender. And if you have children, it might be this, like a big change happening in your life through children. Also, sometimes children might be leaving the home because South Node is about living, or you might be leaving, letting go. So it makes space for new pleasurable activities, for example, another aspect of the fifth house. So you might lose children, or your children might become more and more detached, or they might be going through a period of growth of some sort, going away or something, and you have to release them, or certain way of how you treat your children, how you educate your children, what your relationship with them is, certain aspect you have to partially release to give them more freedom to express themselves more naturally. And it can also free for you more ability to, for more, instead of trying to control such relationships, more ability to enjoy yourself, to find new, in the next 6-7 months, to find new sources of joy, new sources of hobby. So, you might be releasing some old hobby, some old pleasurable activity that is a passion of yours, and that you've kind of grown more and more apathetic towards, so that you kind of like some creative talent that you're letting go of that is no longer serving you, so you can make space for new methods of self-expression, for new talents. This fifth house, the house of our talents. So maybe let go, sacrifice some creative project of yours, or if you're an actor, painter, writer, you might have to be like, okay, I'll sacrifice this part of my book, or this part of my performance, or this performance, how, you know, it's not gonna work, but it's another one will appear over the next 6 months or 7-9 months that rejuvenates your creative performance and your talent and your ability to perform and to be noticed. Fifth house is being noticed. But for the more normal people that are not in creative careers, it's kind of one old attachment is going away, connected to how you to your romantic life, very likely. You know, fifth house is romantic life or children, and some aspect of the life of your children is changing, and you need to make a sacrifice to leave it in God's hands, to let it go, not to try to control it, or of your romantic life as well. So it might be something might be out of control in your romantic life. You might be able to let go of an old romantic attachment, and you make space for new romantic attachment. You might be required to let go of certain ideas how to be with your children, or or certain aspect of your love relationship with the partner, how you romanticize each other, to make a sacrifice there, so you can allow for new such kind of relationship and such kind of aspect of your relationship, romantic and pleasure-giving aspect to appear. Okay. I don't know, it sounded confusing. I hope I didn't confuse you. Scorpio, it's in your fourth house, the eclipse. Well, you might be required to let go of one place of living, and a new one will appear over the coming months. You might be required to partially let go of something to do with property, with renovations, with family. You might be required to give up some of your needs, personal needs, because of something bigger, because of something that serves more people, because South Node is about sacrifice. So sacrificing some of your family or personal needs. But when you leave those, there will be a new beginning happening actually in your personal life after that, in your way of expressing your personal needs as well. And in your source of happiness is the fourth house. You might be required to sacrifice certain aspect of what you consider your happiness, but it will make a new space for you to rediscover happiness in a new way, to find deeper resources emotionally of how you can tap into your happiness. And for example, for my son, eclipse in the fourth house. Oh, sacrifice because a sister is coming, family. Sacrifice for the family. Something is changing there. A new beginning is coming. But he has to sacrifice some of the attention he gets and some of the needs he gets met from his family. Or let's say on a more material, practical level, you might have to, you've wanted that property. Well, that's not, you might have to let go of it, or your idea of how this property will be, or how the relationship in the family will be. You have to maybe sacrifice something for the greater good of your family instead, but there is something new being born in your family, which means that over the next 6-9 months, there might be a new place of living. There might be a new emotional, a new family, powerful family development, like property or something like that, or a new member. It can play out in different ways. Okay, if you're Sagittarius, it's happening in your third house. Well, it's nothing too dramatic. Eclipse in the third house is maybe you have to let go of some associates or some project that you're working on in small group environment. You might have to sacrifice certain aspects of it. So new one can be born, new ideas, new commercial idea, new commercial collaboration, or third house is collaborations of any sort, though, especially kind of associates of some sort. And some certain associations might end, or certain aspect of your relationship with siblings, relatives, teammates, playmates, schoolmates, people from your social environment, that has to end. And that you sacrifice, but it allows for new dynamics to develop over the next 6 months in such small group environments with relatives, with siblings. For example, it might be like, you have to let go of certain communication with relative because they, you've completed your karmic duty towards them. But then it will allow for new relationships to develop of some sort. The third house is very social, relationship connected. Also, letting go of some old skills to welcome in new skills that comes. Letting go of some old teachings and studies, maybe shifting the direction of your studies and learning and teaching, and you're saying, I don't want to study psychology anymore. I'm going to go into, I'm going to release it. It's not working for me. I don't feel interested in it anymore, or whatever you're studying. And or give up reading one kind of books or whatever, and a new field of interest will appear, or a new interest in studies, and new skills will appear. Basically, third house is skills as well, our skill set. So over the next 6 to 9 months, you can discover a totally new set of skills that you're interested in to do. Okay, third house is also, I said it's not, when an eclipse happens there, it's your communications and people you communicate on a daily, and your devices. Okay, let's see, on a very material level, you might have to give up one phone and get a new phone after that. It can be something as stupid as that, honestly, in a material level. You have to give up one laptop for another one, or you might have to surrender, let's see, on more psychological level, certain communications, certain way of doing communications, and certain daily interactions with someone. So someone can disappear from your life somehow, so new someone like can appear, but it's kind of someone that is not like a love partner or emotionally involved with. It might be a colleague, it might be a workmate, it might be the postman that you every day have a chit chat with, or some kind of associate of some sort, you know, or schoolmate of some sort. Okay, I can't think of anything else. So for Sagittarius, it's not so dramatic, you know. And then for Capricorn, the last sign we're doing, because we started from Aquarius, remember? It's in your second house. Give up something you have, you possess. Throw out your old clothes. Release them. South Node can allow you, South Node eclipse can allow you to detach from certain possessions, from certain things that you think you need for your social, for your security, and you can be forced to give them up, or you might willingly give them up now, and it will make space for new sources of income. It will make space for new money and new resources to come to you. When I had a South Node eclipse in the second house, that was 2 years ago, I left all my possessions for 16 years. Everything that I've ever owned, I let it go and I released it because I relocated from one continent to another. Just giving you an example to see. And I didn't find it as a loss. Yes, it was a loss. I was, you know, like I would never, books I've accumulated for years, second house possessions, clothes, furniture, anything that we consider valuable and of tangible value. But then over the next few months, I gained new possessions and new, starting on a clean slate, basically. And so also you might be releasing some old attachments to what is valuable and worthy. So all of a sudden you might start feeling like, I don't consider this, buying shoes anymore, as something valuable. I don't consider, you know, like all of a sudden your value system can shift. You can release attachments in your value system, and what you consider valuable, beautiful, in a powerful way. You can release such attachments now and let go of those. There might be some financial losses, remember, with that South Node sacrifices, so you're having to give, you know, and it's, if you willingly give, it's even better. Give to someone a way to maybe to precede the influence of this eclipse. Go and give to someone your old clothes or something, or old possessions of some sort. Do it so this way you precede the eclipse and it doesn't surprise you, you know, for you to having to give up something that you find that you're more attached to. But remember, even if you have to give this up, something new will come, some new source of income, some new source of financial material stability that is more in line karmically with you, and that has better kind of capacity and potential, but it might take a few months for you to really see the results of that. So watch out for new ideas, financial, material, and new value systems, and also your self-worth changing. The second house is the self-worth. Surrendering some kind of aspect of what you think you're worth, maybe a negative aspect that you negatively evaluated yourself, that you can surrender and detach from, which will allow you to blossom a new sense of self-worth that is more realistic, that is more impartial over the next few months, that is more based on reality. So that's how I see things working out with this eclipse, guys. Again, as I said, it's not totally overpowering. It's not the full eclipse, but it triggers the degree of the previous full eclipse. So it can play out in different ways. Check out your sun, moon, or ascendant to see different areas where it can affect you, you know. So yeah, for some of you, it might be just very subtle psychological influence that you're feeling, guys, that subtle shift in consciousness that is happening. For others, might be more material manifestation. So thank you so much. Check out all the new classes and courses we have. Nicola Stojanovic is doing a class on all the countries and nations, how to see in your horoscope what is the best place for you to live, what place to avoid, because you might go to some place and end up in poverty, you know, or you might meet up the love of your life. So he discusses how you can see this in your horoscope on the 28th of February. You can watch it after that as well. Marina has her aspect course, the 32 different aspects in astrology. according to Russian School of Astrology, and we're stressing on the karmic and creative aspects, but we'll go through all of them. And of course, check out the ancient Babylonian astrology webinars, which are something else. It's astrology that there's absolutely no way you're gonna get it, because this is from the revival of Babylonian astrology, the one and only one of the maybe 2 or 3 scholars in the world that translate ancient Sumerian, Akkadian, Babylonian, and ancient Greek and Arabic astrological texts, reviving ancient astrology methods. And we have 3 webinars with him. You can see recorded already, which speak about the different careers, talents, all, So yeah, check out. We have so many classes and courses. Thank you so much, guys. I love you very much. Don't fear the eclipse. They say that when the eclipses are very intense, or when you start feeling intense, have showers. I read it somewhere. I don't know how correct it is. I'm going to try it, because showers wash out those positively charged particles from you and substitute them with negatively charged, which are the healthier ones. And, never indulge around eclipses. That's one thing. Don't overdrink, don't overeat, because we're more susceptible to negative influences, at least psychologically. So thank you so much, and happy releasing and happy surrendering, so you make space for something new. Thank you.